Rain poured down in relentless sheets that morning, turning the streets of Meadowbrook into rivers of glistening asphalt and puddles that reflected the grey sky above. Jonas Whittaker gripped the steering wheel of his old, dented minivan, his eyes squinting through the blur of rain streaking across the windshield. His heart was heavy, not from the weather, but from the weight of responsibility. Raising 2 children alone after his wife's sudden passing 3 years ago had left him exhausted, drained, and constantly walking the thin line between despair and determination. He was late again for dropping his 8-year-old daughter Sophie at school, and the guilt gnawed at him like an unshakable shadow. As he drove down Maple Avenue, Jonas noticed a figure at the edge of the road. A woman, drenched from head to toe, was struggling to hold onto a broken umbrella that the wind had mercilessly twisted inside out. Her auburn hair clung to her face, and her coat was soaked, sticking to her body like a second skin. Without thinking, Jonas swerved slightly, pulling over beside her. His children's laughter in the back seat was absent that morning. They were quiet, sensing their father's tension. "Are you okay?" Jonas called out as he rolled down the window, the rain immediately invading the cab. The woman flinched, then looked up, eyes wide with surprise, vulnerability shining through her damp face. My car broke down," she stammered, her voice barely audible above the pounding rain. "I don't know what to do." Jonas hesitated for only a moment before unlocking the passenger door. "Hop in. I can take you somewhere safe." Sophie leaned forward from her booster seat, her small face pressing against the headrest. "Daddy, can we help her?" she asked quietly, her voice full of innocence and curiosity. Jonas smiled faintly, realizing that even in the chaos of his life, his daughter's heart remained tender. The woman climbed in, shivering, and introduced herself as Mara Ellison. Jonas offered her his old blanket from the trunk, draping it over her shoulders, trying to shield her from the relentless rain. As they drove, the conversation was stilted at first, punctuated by the rhythmic thrum of the windshield wipers. But slowly, Mara began to share bits of her story. A job she had lost, a recent move to the city where she didn't know anyone, and a life that had suddenly tilted into uncertainty. Jonas listened intently, feeling a strange connection with this stranger, as if fate had drawn her into his path for a reason he didn't yet understand. By the time they reached a nearby cafe, Mara's hands were blue from the cold, and Jonas could see the fatigue in her eyes. He offered to buy her coffee and breakfast, insisting she warm up before heading anywhere else. As they sat together at a small corner table, Jonas watched her sip the hot drink, and a warmth spread through him. Not from the coffee, but from the simple act of helping someone who needed it. For the first time in months, he felt a flicker of hope, a reminder that kindness still existed in a world that often felt unforgiving. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, make sure to like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Spark, because sometimes a small act can change everything. Over the next few days, Mara and Jonas found themselves crossing paths repeatedly. She had taken a temporary job at a local community center while he balanced work, school runs, and his endless lists of chores. They began to share stories, laughter, and moments that neither had expected. Mara's presence seemed to lighten the atmosphere in Jonas's home. Sophie and her younger brother Leo took an immediate liking to her, following her around with shy smiles and curious questions. Jonas had been protective, wary of letting anyone new into their small family bubble, but Mara's genuine warmth slowly chipped away at his defenses. One Saturday morning, Jonas was struggling with the old minivan that had begun to make worrying noises. He cursed under his breath as Sophie and Leo played nearby. Mara appeared at the gate, holding a basket of freshly baked muffins, her smile bright even in the chilly autumn light. "I thought these might help with breakfast," she said. "And maybe I can help with the car too?" Jonas shook his head, a little embarrassed. I can manage, I think, but Mara persisted, kneeling beside the minivan, rolling up her sleeves and examining the engine. To Jonas's astonishment, she seemed to know exactly what to do. Within the hour, the vehicle roared to life, and Jonas felt a mix of relief and admiration. She wasn't just kind, she was capable, resourceful, and patient. As the weeks turned into months, Jonas noticed changes he hadn't expected. His home felt warmer, more alive. The children laughed more freely, and even his own stress seemed lighter with Mara around. She was not only a friend, but an unexpected support system, someone who reminded him that life could be gentle and generous, even after heartbreak. One evening, as the sun cast golden light over the backyard, Jonas watched Mara helping Sophie with a school project. The little girl's eyes sparkled with joy as she held up her carefully painted artwork, and Jonas realized something profound. Mara had become more than a friend. She had become a part of the family, a force that could heal wounds even he hadn't fully acknowledged. Yet life, as always, had its uncertainties. Mara's old struggles, financial instability, an unresolved past, and doubts about the future still lingered. Jonas wrestled with the idea of offering more than friendship. He feared rejection, feared disrupting the fragile balance they had built, and yet his heart urged him forward. He realized that sometimes courage wasn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it was quiet, persistent, and brave enough to act despite fear. One particularly crisp morning, Jonas decided it was time. He asked Mara to join him for a walk through the park near their neighborhood. The air smelled of damp earth and fallen leaves, a gentle sun breaking through the clouds. As they walked, Jonas shared his thoughts, the fear of being alone forever, the hope that perhaps life had more to offer than just survival. Mara listened silently, her hand brushing his as they passed the ducks by the pond. When he finally confessed his feelings, she smiled through tears, revealing that she had felt the same way all along. The weight of unspoken emotions lifted, leaving room for hope, love, and possibility. From that day forward, their lives intertwined in ways neither had imagined. Mara's presence brought stability and warmth, her laughter filling spaces that grief and exhaustion had long claimed. Jonas began to see a future not only for himself, but for his children, one that included love, partnership, and the belief that even in the darkest storms, light could find a way through. The children embraced her fully, calling her Aunt Mara, their tiny hearts recognizing the goodness she brought into their lives. Months later, Jonas found himself standing at the community center where Mara had first found work, watching her guide a group of children through an art activity. He felt a surge of pride, gratitude, and awe. This woman, whom fate had placed in the middle of a rainy morning, had transformed not only his own life, but the lives of everyone he held dear. He understood that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, like stopping for a stranger in the rain, could ripple outward,